I am a huge believer in time blocking and time management so that I have true strategic time, even to the point that I like to look at within my own circadian rhythm, what time is my most attentive, highest energy, all those pieces, which is my strategy time, my focus time, the things that are those needle movers, and the time that I have the busy work or the things that I'm needing to do that are not quite, don't take as much of my brain power I do at other points of the day. And so I want you to ask yourself a daily question. What am I solving right now? So there's a lot of hype out there about these kind of CEO habits, morning routines, cold plunges, journaling apps, and hacks that promise clarity, loads of energy, and instant control over your day. And while some of these things actually can be helpful, they are not a secret to actually running a better agency or a better business, because the truth is there is no universal habit for any one individual that's going to guarantee success. I do believe that there are principles that set the foundation for strong leadership. And so that's what I actually wanted to talk to you all about today. So I want to talk about 4 basic principles that have made the biggest difference in how you can potentially show up and how I've shown up, how you lead, how you grow, and how you kind of start to narrow your focus, working within constraints, making decisions in a long-term lens, and doing sometimes the boring, unsexy things consistently so that you can feel less scattered, reactive, and out of control. At the end of this episode, I want that for you. So let's start with focus, the first principle. I want us to focus more and not wider. So there's this kind of reality piece that I have been telling myself, whether it was society or whether it was myself, this idea that in order for me to be successful, I needed to take on more. I needed to do more. I needed to give more of myself. I needed to be just more. And the reality is that as I actually started to progress, the more that I actually did, I realized that I started to move slower. And I was wondering, it's like, well, now that I'm doing more, now I'm taking on more things, then it becomes a bit of a difficult stage in business because I'm not even actually making any progress. I feel more stressed. I'm doing more work. I'm working more hours, but I'm not making any more progress. And why? And the reality is because the distinction between now that you've taken on more, you're actually not able to do the things that you were doing as well as you were before. And so that focus that you lost actually made you move slower. And so the truly high achieving business owners and CEOs are not doing more. They're doing less and they're doing it better. And that is the problem for the vast majority of businesses, is that you actually need to prioritize needle moving actions over the busy work, if you will. I am a huge believer in time blocking and time management so that I have true strategic time, even to the point that I like to look at within my own circadian rhythm, what time is my most attentive, highest energy, all those pieces, which is my strategy time, my focus time, the things that are those needle movers, and the time that I have the busy work or the things that I'm needing to do that are not quite, don't take as much of my brain power I do at other points of the day. And so I want you to ask yourself a daily question. What am I solving right now? And is what I'm doing actually solving that problem? What is the problem I need to solve today? What is the action I need to be taking that's going to actually move me and my business forward? If you're not doing that action, and many of you probably aren't, then we are doing the wrong thing. You do need to focus more, not wider. And while obviously that is a much easier thing to say than to do in practice, it is a vital thing that you are going to need to solve for. You have added and added and added and added to your list of things, your list of to-dos over years. And now you need to do some spring cleaning. Some of them serve you and some of them don't. The ones that serve you, keep. The ones that don't, eliminate. Obviously, some of them, again, we'll talk about another component of principle. Some of them aren't very necessary to a growing, healthy business. And so don't cut too deep is my warning there. So the next one of the principles, number 2, is constraints are truly a superpower. So I'm going to give you an example of one to start. So I am the archetype, I would say, of that entrepreneur, in that I will have the highest amounts of shiny object syndrome. And, oh great idea I just came up with this morning, and I'm going to completely pivot and do this entirely different thing now. And I've done that so many times. And it has caused not only myself frustration, but my entire team frustration. It has caused me to stagnate growth in so many instances. And I've just even blown things up unnecessarily in several instances doing this. And so here's the reality, is that I realized that I was doing this. So I put a constraint in place to prevent myself from doing it. So once a quarter, I sit with my leadership team, and there's one rule. Once that meeting is over, is I have no option to change the direction of my focus for that next quarter. So I have one way that can change. I get the project done, or the quarter comes to an end. Those are the only options I have. And that constraint has actually helped me a ton, because I'm not going to call them all great ideas, because they're not, but I have loads of ideas, and some of them good, some of them not. But then sometimes I'm going to start with that not great idea, and I need to flush it out a little bit more, but I'm inspired by it, I'm excited by it, and so I do it, because guess what? There's no one to stop me, unless I give myself a constraint. So set some rules, some parameters, some guardrails for yourself to be clear on what the constraints are. So constraints can be simple as I end my workday at this time. And it forces a very different decision-making criteria. What are the things, what is the box that you actually want to live within? And create the box for yourself. And I'm not saying that you need to follow my box, because my box is different than yours, because that's the box I feel comfortable in. And your box is going to be very different. But what is your box? Because otherwise, people say yes to everything, because there's loads of opportunity. And that is the plight of the entrepreneur. We see opportunity in so many things. And why we are entrepreneurs? Because we see that opportunity. We don't see it as risk. We see it as opportunity. And yeah, sure, there's some risk involved in too, but we prioritize that opportunity over the risk. And because of that, we need constraints more than most people. And you are the only person that is going to be able to constrain yourself. And I create them for myself in all sorts of different ways, even for as simple as this product that has recently come out, a brick. And it sits right here, attached to my desk, and I brick my phone that closes all business-related apps when I leave this room. So I can have fully disconnected time, and my business doesn't follow me into my personal life. It's an impossibility now, because it is fully locked, and I can't get access to it, a constraint. So I want you to think about, what are the areas and issues that you're having in separation between your business life and personal life? What are the issues that you're running into in your business life that are actually causing you friction? And let's start to put constraints. Constraints can be a KPI. Constraints can be amount of resources. Constraints can be a number of time. It can be all sorts of things. But I firmly believe that in direction that you're headed, there should be a constraint in most things. Eliminate those open loops. Decide on what matters and ignore the noise. Creativity and clarity both come within working limits. And it's important that you understand what those limits are and create them even for yourself if you don't believe that they exist, because they do exist. But don't make it just false. Deadlines, self-imposed deadlines to me are huge. They force action. They force urgency. They force an understanding of different types of decisions, because otherwise I will just create an infinite number of ideas and a project will never get done. Because there's always something I can improve upon it. There's always something I can make it better, because it's never going to be perfect. It won't. But I need to have it done. I need to have it launched. I need to have it complete by this date. So that means that I can't do the 1,000 of different amazing ideas that I have. Okay, maybe that's an over-exaggeration. The 1,000 ideas I have, the 3 that are amazing. And be clear on what that constraint is. And if I still believe that those 3 ideas that I came up with are important, I have an opportunity once that deadline is passed, and I can work on that and always add on. But get to the live launched version. Now, number 3, this takes a bit more time for you to actually sit and think this through. And so the third principle is use your long-term and midterm vision to make your daily today choices. So what is the goal in 12 months? What is the goal in 3 years? What is the goal in 5 years? What is the goal in 10 for both you personally and for your business? So are your actions today going to help you achieve the 12-month goal? No? Well, maybe you shouldn't do it. Yes? Well, okay, what is the likelihood? And how much time is it going to take for me to actually make this happen? What is the likelihood of this outcome? How do I actually make sure that this maybe is constrained in time, done a bit shorter, bite-sized? So make sure that you're thinking through each decision that we have. Because again, as I was just describing, that without constraints, that we are going to think that everything is a potential opportunity. The same thing is true here. This is a version of a constraint, but I think that it provides for a whole lot of clarity. In the long-term vision helps you be able to take that place that I'm looking to go to. So think about it kind of in the context of a road trip, right? I'm driving from San Diego to Los Angeles, or a little further, San Diego to New York, let's say, right? And so where am I going to stop at night? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do that? But I know the destination. I know the end place of where I'm going to go. And so I'm going to stop in Las Vegas, and then I'm going to stop in Denver, and then I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to stop there, right? And so what are the places that I'm going to stop on my drive to getting to where I want to go so that I can sleep at night, that I feel comfortable, that I blah, 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 all those things. And the same thing is true for your business, is that if you have clarity of where you're looking to go, it helps you able to better decide yes or no with each different potential. So avoiding the potential blockade in what it is that you're doing. So utilizing that vision as your filter to allow for you to actually truly stay aligned in the direction that you are headed. That yes or no binary. Yes, this moves it forward. No, it doesn't. And I'm not going to say that your 10-year vision that you create today is going to be your 10-year vision 3 years from now. That can change, and that's okay. But making sure that you do have it clear, that you do understand where you're going. If at some point it feels no longer in alignment with the person that you are, the business that you have, or the reality of the world around us, then you can make some updates. But sit and think about it thoughtfully. And I do think that you should do this every couple of years. It's very important. There's a guide that I wish I had found the first time I did this, and it's called Vivid Vision, and I highly suggest you go through it. It's a great framework that allows for you, the book is called Vivid Vision. It's a great framework that allows for you to kind of think through both your personal and business. And I do suggest that you do it personally and then do the business. Now, fourth principle, consistency over intensity. So the real work of running a business isn't always going to be exciting, but it should be consistent. So show up to the financial meeting, update those forecasts, have your team follow up on client feedback, do the things regularly. So I'm going to tell it through a story for a moment. So here's an example of a situation that I found with a colleague of mine. And so we were in this mastermind group, and every single time we came to a meeting, we would be talking about the progress that we've been making in the business, kind of where we are, where our numbers were, et cetera, et cetera. And he always had the exact same question of like, what are you doing for lead generation? What are you doing for lead generation? What are you doing for lead generation? And the reality is that each one of our businesses were very different. Our ICPs were also very different. And so asking us what we're doing for lead generation, well, could potentially foster some ideas. It actually wasn't going to be his answer or his solution necessarily, because the ICP was different, the ideal client profile. So every single meeting he had a different takeaway of, well, this person's doing this and that's working for them, so I'm going to go try that. And then a couple months later, same thing. Next person, this is working, that didn't work for me. Next person, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And so we're all kind of looking out there in the world. And this isn't just him. This is just an example. And largely, this continued on for several years. Never able to solve the lead generation problem, staying exactly in the same place from a revenue perspective, wasn't able to grow. And that is because he was looking for the easy button. And as much as sometimes I would like that there were more easy buttons in life, they don't tend to just manifest themselves. The reality is that it does take consistency. And I've said this an incredible amount of times in this context, that most lead generation strategies work assuming that your ICP is there. It's about consistently doing the work, watching the numbers, and improving upon what it is that you're doing will allow for you to have the outcome that you're looking for. But trying to throwing spaghetti at the wall constantly when you've undercooked it, it ain't going to stick. It isn't going to work. And the same thing is true here. Sometimes you are going to have to do the unsexy work. And there's so much out there that is distracting you. Hopefully not this podcast. That is distracting you, giving you things to do. Ideas, stuff that you should be considering. And maybe you should consider it. But it doesn't mean that you should be doing it today. And it doesn't mean that you should be completely shifting your strategy overnight to do this thing. Consistency, doing and showing up and doing the reps is going to work. Because I believe this one to be really, really, really important. I'm going to beat this one to death a little bit. It's like the idea that I want to lose weight and I want to get into better shape. But I show up to the gym, I go once, and then I eat unhealthily, I don't work out, I don't do anything, and then 2 months later, I go to the gym again. And I work out really hard for that day that I go to the gym. But am I going to actually have the result I'm looking for? Nope. Why not? Because I wasn't consistent. And this is true in so many instances in life, especially in your business. And I'm not saying that you necessarily have to be the one being consistent in everything, but you do actually have to be consistent, especially as you grow and you get a team. Having them be consistent is just as vital and important. And in order for your business to grow sustainably, the businesses that do, the agencies that do, are doing kind of these boring things repeatably, reliably. They are building that repetition. They are building that muscle. And success lives within the repetition, within the reps. You are required to do that. And if you are not, you are leaving a whole lot of baseline, foundational sustainability in your business. And you may grow. Don't get me wrong. You very well could. And you might be saying to me right now, Robert, I'm not being that consistent in the things that I'm doing, but I'm growing. Okay. I'm going to ask you this question. The last economic uprise and increase in revenue or increase of the GDP, you grew alongside the rest of the industry. And then the last economic decline, did you grow or did you shrink? What is your consistency there? If you are growing and rising with the tide, you are not consistent. You are completely susceptible to whatever is happening on that is completely outside of your control. And to me, as I've shared, the recovering control freak, do not like leaving my life to other people's control. So being the strong CEO isn't about hacks. It's about discipline. It's about that habits that matter most aren't about just how early you wake up in the morning, even though I do like waking up early. What's in your smoothie, the new health hack. It's about how you think, how you prioritize, and how you consistently lead and show up. If you've been about chasing control through more productivity tricks or hacks or steps, if you just spend a little bit more time and refocus, choose fewer things and do them well, embrace constraints, make decisions utilizing and serving your long-term vision, you show up to do the work, even when it's not shiny. Your agency will more sustainably grow. That is where the true magic will happen.